This is our first ever live on Substack. I'm Jenna Bueller with Real Good News, and
Hi, I'm Steven Sopko.
hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. We are here at Groundswell. I'm Real Good News. This is Jenna Bueller, and I'm here with
Steven Sopko from Stage 2 Ventures.
For the last 4 weeks, we've been hosting marketing and sales acceleration workshops here out of this old indoor skate park that was converted into a startup incubator by a couple of local folks who are serial entrepreneurs that are reinvesting into the community, offering free mentorship to emerging founders. And then we're just an extension of that support team. So there's a bunch of great mentors out here, people who know e-commerce, who know about manufacturing and scalability, hiring, firing, anything you need support with. And we had just an amazing team come together for this. We hosted about 23 different entrepreneurs, all different founders of different, very diverse companies.
Right.
Everything from a e-commerce dumpster fire, Zen garden, all the way to dog toy companies. People are at very different stages. And we also had Matt Mayer, a brand expert, join us for this whole event. And it was super fantastic. One of the insights that we just wanted to kind of take a coffee break and thank you for attending those workshops and share a bit about why we care so much. The purpose of this was to help people maximize every dollar that they spend on marketing. Steven here, he's worked with Fortune 500 companies, totally different degree of organization. I work with companies that don't have a logo or a website, and maybe they've never run a business before.
We're kind of at both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, literally. I'm on this corner of the screen, and he's on the other corner of the screen. But yeah, I mean, Steven, I'm curious. I asked Steven if he would do this on a whim at the end of August. So it was not thrown together, but I was really passionate about taking just the brief experience I've had, 12 years, and condensing all this stuff that trips people up into like something simple.
Right.
And you joined me. Why?
Well, I think it's because you asked me to. It's the classic thing that we talked about in the workshop of sometimes your brand, your personal brand is so prominent or people have such close identification with it that they will buy things from you because you're you, not because necessarily they have a problem today, but they like you. And so I think when people look around in their network, they're just those people that if they called you and said, "Hey, we're doing lunch and you want to come along," you go. And because you always learn something. So that was kind of my primary rationale. It's also a lot of what I do for the UCF incubator and the Groundswell incubator is, working with those mentors and helping tiny companies figure out how to sell to giant companies.
Right.
So that's a good fit.
I really appreciate it because I'm personally passionate about busting down just barriers. I don't like people to mess around, wasting their time doing things that aren't serving their business. And part of that, I think, is my own background. My dad was a brilliant engineer, lots of patents, but he never really got to market for himself. He never really built the dream. And so just by having people like Steven go in there and equip people who've got serious skill but major gaps, it really helps. 1 in 9 people in this area is a degreed engineer. So to have someone with a sales and marketing background to your level is essential.
I think it's one of the things that the more you know, or the more educated you are, or the more intelligent you are, often that comes with crippling self-doubt. And it comes with so much where people who know a lot and have a ton to offer are very hesitant to offer it because they can think of so many other people who are even smarter. And so I think that is one of the things around here that we have some phenomenal people with great ideas, but there's also a lot of imposter syndrome and self-doubt.
Yeah. And it was great to see just from the first session to the fourth session, people really overcome. We're having an imposter now.
Yes, we are. That was the imposter syndrome kicking in. But no, absolutely. I think there was like a step change for some of the people in the workshops.
I think so. And just being able to have the words to describe the value that you're providing to the world. Sometimes people will go decades without really having the layman's terms for what they do. why it matters.
And I think one of the workshop participants, it was the first time she'd ever seen what Matt did during I think it was session 2, where he was putting together a marketing kit for her business live while y'all were walking through it. And it was, I think, the first time she'd ever seen it as a real business. And that was just, it was terrific to watch that aha moment for her.
Right. Yeah. And it was great too to go into like really complicated things like your buyer's journey and the intricacies that go into that journey. But then also going into just how do you present yourself in person, you know, and just the nuances of when to talk, when not to talk, all that great stuff. So it was a great session, and some folks have asked what's next. So I put Stephen in the hot seat. We haven't even talked about what's next, and we're gonna
live
right now.
Right now. This is how you get somebody to do something you want. You go live, and then you ask them. This is a masterclass.
So, Stephen, what do you think is next?
Oh my!
I really love that this was a forcing function for great handouts, great worksheets. Really taking out all the fluff. I'm really just trying to expedite success for people.
Right.
And you are too. And it's great to see you kind of enter that mode as well.
I think so many people sell day-long workshops, 2-day workshops, that sort of thing. And we had people for 2 hours. And so we really had to say what is really essential to them for where they're trying to go and strip everything else out, to your point. And I think that for me was a real eye-opener, because I took some of the stuff we did and then used part of it at UCF with their marketing program. And I had an hour there. So now I'm taking what we did in 2 hours over 2 sessions, that's 4 hours, and crunching it down into 1 hour. And I sounded like an auctioneer when I was talking, but because I was talking way too fast. But there's just so much real value, but we really made it accessible. And that I think really started with you and Matt in weeks 1 and 2, where you're talking about your brand identity and your colors and what do you want to be associated with. That really started with who you are and who your business is. And I think that was a terrific way to sort of walk into, now that you know who you are, who do you want to be in business with?
Right. Yeah. No, that's great stuff. And the goal was to have folks walk away with a 2026 game plan, just a really clear roadmap of what am I going to do to achieve whatever goal I've defined. And I think for the most part, people had a sense of where to go by the end of the workshops. What do you think?
I think so. I think the one of the takeaways I had is next time we'll be a little bit more definitive about that. And because I think so many people who attended the first workshop, because it's the first one we did, they didn't really know necessarily what was going to happen. And so I think that some people who came in with a goal left with a roadmap. Mm-hmm. Some people who came in without a goal left with a goal. Mm-hmm. And I think that's valuable in and of itself. So I think that may be one of the things we do when we're inviting people to say, are you somebody who has a goal? Or are you somebody who needs a goal? And then we start with that.
That makes a world of sense. I think too, so much of me wants to create a beta program around this, like you come in, work with you, and you get on track. And there's just this sense of urgency that drives someone towards success. I'm not 100% sure what that looks like. Does it exist in Slack? Does it exist in just a regular Zoom meeting? Is it paid? Is there paid level or unpaid? I have no idea.
I think that's the key. It's based on our audience, where they are in their business cycle. I think so often the accountability is the value in and of itself. I have a couple of clients right now. I get so much done in the 30 minutes before our weekly calls. Mm. I know that some of them are on this call with us. So, but I think that's the same way for everybody. It's suddenly things in the old Eisenhower matrix of, is it urgent or not urgent? And then is it important or not important? So often as entrepreneurs, we live in the, sort of not urgent bucket, not getting any attention at all, because we live entirely in the urgent and important quadrant. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is important, but it's not urgent.
It's proactive in a world that's only reactive, oftentimes.
Especially when you're a one-person shop. I think a very small business. I have a couple of clients that are sub 10 people, and all those 10 people are wearing so many hats that they're all focused on the important,
right?
And not necessarily the not important, even sort of the urgent, rather than the not urgent.
And Exactly. It's interesting too, as I started to pull some more statistics around sales and marketing in general. If you look at groups like PitchBug was looking into like Edison research, it really looks like sales and marketing, for the most part, are the number one thing that's complained about by investor groups. What's the ROI? What's the return? What actually indicates that? What's the evidence that this is success? And so, to that end, it's exciting to see, I think, more quantifiable ways of communicating why this is important,
Right. Right.
especially when you're surrounded by engineering talent, because they're so talented, they're so gifted, they're so laser focused on the invention that oftentimes the vehicle that's going to introduce that invention to the world doesn't exist until maybe it's too late.
That's a very good point. I think in my first business, I spent so much time building out the offering that I forgot to ever go see if any customers wanted it. And I think that's normal. Like a lot of people do that. But I think the other key is, and one of the things that I learned very early on was my definition of success. So often people who struggle with sales, they're misdefining the definition of success for a phone call. Your goal with a phone call is to get another phone call. It's not to get a bag of money. But so often we go into the phone call and we think if we don't get a bag of money at the end, we fail. And if we advance the relationship, if we educate it a little bit, if we learn something about the prospective customer, then that was a successful call. So I think really making success more granular so people can see the little milestones along the way, I think that might help. I think the other key is in the investment community. So often the go-to-market strategy and business plan are based on getting investment, not based on a real understanding of the market. And I think that's why people struggle so hard to make the sales, because maybe those sales weren't there to begin with.
Right. So you heard it here first. Our next step with Real Good News, our next step with these marketing and sales acceleration workshops is really to hear from you.
Yeah.
We're going to give it now until the end of Sunday night, midnight, to really just gather more information from people who attended, participants, folks who are tuning in on Substack now, YouTube. Just, let us know, what do you need?
Well, and I think in the workshops themselves, so when we conceptualized the workshop, it was a very business to business focus.
Right.
We thought we were going to have an audience exclusively business to business. We started the workshop and we realized there was a real mix of business to consumer, and business to government. So we had to adapt on the fly. And I think that's evidence that we're going to build the workshop based on what people want rather than necessarily what we want to say.
Right, exactly. You're like our living focus group, and we're so grateful. Think of this as a journey that you can participate in. This is the formal invitation. We'd love to hear from you. What does this beta group look like? What do you need in by the end of the year to be successful in 2026?
I see so many things on TikTok that if you start doing these things over the next 90 days, you'll be unrecognizable in January. And I save all of those, and then I never do the things. So I think that's the key. It's if you have an outsider kind of saying, that's what you want to achieve, great. We'll talk again in a week.
Right.
See how far you've gotten.
Right.
And that's what I think we can offer.
Yeah. And I certainly hoping to be recognizable, not unrecognizable. Or maybe we do want to be.
I know, that's the thing. I'm going to be so buff if I do these things. I won't even recognize myself.
Well, here's looking to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first ever live coffee break where we didn't even bring our own coffee.
I know, right?
But
mine's on the
until next time, thanks for joining us. And we're so grateful to just add value. So talk to you soon.